everybody. Welcome back to Tammy Talks. We're here for another week of Married at First Sight. This week we can do Michaela and Zach. So this is season 13, episode 7. Hurricane Kae made landfall today, y'all. Whoo, Jesus. So, if you are new to the channel, thank you to everybody that watched all the videos from last week. I went couple by couple. So that's why I think I'm going to keep it based on if there's anything I feel like worth talking about with them. So be sure to like the video, subscribe, leave a comment. I'll reply back to the comment. Tell a friend, share, all that good stuff. Let's get into it. So, Zach finally was able to leave Florida after being still in quarantine for having COVID. So he actually told Michaela that he was still testing positive because he wanted to surprise her. So he showed up at her house, or I think she's in an apartment. So he showed up at her apartment with flowers, and she was like, so this is like TV magic or TV editing. So she hears someone knock on the door. The camera crew was clearly in her house. So she knew that they were coming. So she knew he was coming, but she was surprised to see him. Lit lifetime tell it. So he brought her some flowers, and then she kind of gave him a tour um, of her living space. She her apartment was kind of drab. I mean, she had like I have this thing where your TV stand, I feel, should be bigger than the TV when it's on the wall. So she had this like small TV, this huge bookcase underneath it, or it's like CDs or DVDs or whatever. I don't know. I expected her apartment to be a little more decorative, I guess you can say. So she had a gift for him that she wanted to give him on their 1 week anniversary, and she already had like a picture of the two of them framed in her apartment. I'm sorry, but Michaela gives me crazy vibes. And I hate to say that, but she's doing so much. She's doing almost too much. She's doing too much. It is weird. It's weird. She seems, and it's not like she seems like she's so in love with him. She seems more in lust than anything else. She seems in lust with him. And I've said this before, like everything that she talks about when it comes to him is like how sexy he is, how he looks, how chocolatey he is, his body. And it's like, girl, we get it. The man is fine, right? Right. No, there's no one that doesn't think that Zach is attractive. But it's like you have to look a little deeper than that. And she just seems very, very much in lust at this point. And it's a little, I don't know, it's off putting because I think it's setting the tone or setting a tone on how she views him in their relationship. So they get back to their new apartment that they're gonna be sharing together. And hold on, let me turn this TV off because I'm gonna keep staring at it. So they're getting back. They got back to their apartment, and their dogs met. Their dogs get along pretty good. I feel like so much energy is given to like the dogs on is given to the dogs on this show. Like I feel like so much of Married at First Sight is focused on these people's dogs. We don't care. We don't care how the dogs get along. I was so over it last season when Jacob and Haley had that whole kennel in their apartment. So their dogs are getting along. Your dogs are playing. It's like dogs are gonna do, sniffing each other or whatever. And they're conversing about, typical things like what time do you wake up? What time do you go to bed? Different things like that. And he was saying how he thinks they're going to get along just fine. They both can seem kind of, go with the flow about things. I guess they both sleep late. So it seems good on paper so far. But then Zach stated, I'm looking forward to our first fight. I'm looking forward to our first fight. Now, I get what he meant about that somewhat because I feel like you really get to know a person. You really learn about a person's personality, their behavior, more about, how they handle adversity, how they handle confrontation, conflict, different things like that when there is a disagreement. But to say that's what you were looking forward to the most, that that was a red flag to me. That was a definite red flag. And Michaela kind of looked at him too, like, okay. So, and that's what exactly they got the next morning. So, the next morning we see Zach getting up. It looks like it's super early in the morning. I think the timestamp on the screen said 7:15. And to me, I thought he was just like going to work out or going for a run because he looked like he was dressed in like a tank top and like some shorts. So I didn't think anything of it. I'm like, he's getting ready to go for a run or maybe just to go work out downstairs in the building. Michaela wakes up. She comes out and she's walking through the house. Zach, like she's looking for him. He's not there. And we see her come out of the bathroom and like slam some toilet paper and some Clorox wipes down on the kitchen table. And she looks over it. My initial reaction was kind of like, girl, what are you doing? What are you doing? And initially, I was just thinking like, these are two grown people, right? I live alone. So I'm a person that I am used to getting up, leaving when I want to, waking up when I want to. Like, no one wakes me up. I wake up naturally. If I decide to leave the house, like, I don't have to let anybody here know. And I think when you go, excuse me, when you go from having that type of living situation to now living with someone else, I can imagine how difficult of what am I trying to say? I can imagine how difficult of a transition that would be to have to get used to like telling someone else that you're doing something, especially when you're an adult like they are. So we see them later. Next time we see them. Oh, I'm sorry. Before that, so now we see Michaela packing up her bags and leaving. Okay. Now that is significant because in their conversation before, when they were talking, Zach asked her how is she during an argument. Is she the type of person that gets up and leaves? Michaela specifically said no because that is abandonment. She said that's abandonment. That is abuse. I think she got an emotional and mental abuse. And then she turned around and not even 24 hours later did the exact same thing. Michaela is interesting. She's interesting. Um so the next day we see them sitting on the couch and Michaela is saying that she's only there because they had to meet with Pastor Cal. Only reason she's there. Zach is asking her what's wrong. She's being very complacent, very nonchalant about it. Just kind of like, you know why I'm mad. Don't act like everything is okay. And it's kind of like, use your words, communicate, and say what's wrong. Because you can tell this man how good his chocolate skin look. You can tell him how fine he is. Be adult enough to tell him what your problem with him is. And I feel like that's going to be like an ongoing problem with Michaela where instead of her being able to communicate, effectively like an adult, she's going to use like Hurricane Kae, right? So Pastor, like they're going back and forth. This is Zach's excuse. Zach said that he fell asleep with his dog, I guess on the couch or maybe in another room, trying to get the dog settled down. They're in different living quarters. That's understandable. Dogs are creatures of habit. When they are in different situations, a different environment, it does take some time for them to get settled down sometimes. So that happens. He said he fell asleep, so that's why he was not in bed with Michaela that night. He said the next morning he had to wake up and take his dog Bella to daycare, which is fine. If that's the truth, that's perfectly fine. I guess what I'm confused about is if you're just taking a dog to daycare, why couldn't you answer when Michaela called? Why couldn't you just text Michaela? Why couldn't you go in the room, knock on the door, or, nudge her really quick and just say, hey, I gotta run and take the dog to daycare? You know what I mean? So I feel like they were both wrong, both in Zach initially, right? Because the communication factor is not there. Michaela for how she reacted to it. Zach, so when Pastor Cal comes in, no, before that, Zach is like, I'm done talking about it. I don't want to talk about this anymore. I'm telling you the truth. I've given you no reason, not to trust me or whatever. I've never lied about anything. He didn't like how she was coming at him in that conversation because she was really full of attitude. You can see the attitude dripping all over her. Like she was pissed. She was irritated. So he even told her it's funny how you said that you would never leave and then you did. And so I think she didn't like being called out. So because she didn't like being called out, I think that like pissed her off even more. So Pastor Cal comes in and he can see the tension all over them. And I'm glad that we're seeing them the experts so early because I feel like they were non-existent last year, and that's why so many of those marriages ended in divorce. I think the only people still together from season 12 are Vincent and Brianna, and I don't think that's gonna last too much longer either. But Pastor Cal was talking to them, and he kind of explains to Zach that Michaela sees you as her protector, as um her sense of comfort because her father did just die. Now I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I kind of feel like that was a cop out for her behavior. Um because he didn't. Here's the thing. Sometimes people like he left the house, he came back. By the time he got back, she was gone. So like she didn't give Zach time to come back. You know what I mean? So he left. She wigs out completely, and she leaves like an hour or two after. So let's say he was just at the gym working out. Or let's say he did just go and run some errands or went to do whatever. I think her reaction to leaving and then kind of blaming it on this abandonment situation, I think that's bull. Personally, I think that she just kind of went along with that because that's what Pastor Cal presented to them. Now, I do think Zach gaslit her 110%. He gaslit her. He had just said earlier that or excuse me, he had just said that the previous day he was excited and looking forward to their first argument. So I think he caused an argument because he wanted to see how Michaela would handle if they got into it. He wanted to see how Michaela would handle this type of adverse situation. And I think in Zach's eyes, she failed. You know what I mean? She failed. They hugged it out at the end, but I think they both are definitely seeing red flags now because the way that this was handled, the way that this happened, shouldn't have. I don't think this should have happened at all. This wow. Wow. I don't understand why Zach couldn't text her. I don't think Zach is ready to be married. I don't think Zach is ready for a serious relationship. And I don't think Michaela's ready. If Michaela is still grieving her father, which she clearly is, I'm not gonna say that she's faking her grieving of her father. Michaela is still grieving her father. She needs to give herself time to grieve and heal so that she can go into a relationship not looking for someone that's going to replace her father. And I think that's what Michaela is looking for more so. Someone that's gonna replace her father and give her comfort and strength and that protection aspect, and she's not looking for that in the sense of a husband. She's looking to kind of replace her father. I don't know. I don't know about them. I mean, we saw the trailer for the entire season. Hurricane Kae, as her sisters call her, is gonna come back again and again and again and again. And at the end, we see a huge blow up. I still think that she's too much for Zach, and I think Zach is too immature to be in a relationship. That's just how I feel. So that was episode 7, season 13, Married at First Sight Houston. Again, if you haven't, thumbs up the video and check out the other videos for the other couples. See you guys next week.